So I just wanted to emphasize why we chant these prayers. Does anyone know why we chant these prayers?
Getting blessing from them.
Absolutely, right? From whom? Who are we getting blessings from when we sing this song? From Shishir Radha and Madhav, and yes, the words have been written by the Goswamis, the Acharyas, right? In this song specifically has been written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, right? He's known as the seventh Goswami. Right? So when we sing, we ought to pay attention to each and every word of the songs and the mantras that we chant and the shlokas that we chant, right? We're not just here to let the words fly by our ear and, it's called OHT. In college and school, we say OHT. What is OHT? Anyone knows?
Overhead.
Okay, someone from the era. Overhead transmission. Yeah, it just goes up. One, if you don't understand. Two, if you're not paying attention, right?
Exactly like hearing through this ear and leaving through this ear.
Yeah. So, my humble request, although I'm not qualified at all to be sitting on this Vyasasana, I've been given this opportunity to share something that the Acharyas have shared from one of the most important verses in the Gita. So I humbly request all of you to be participative, lend your ears to these glorious words of the text which we're going to read from. Everyone has the Gita in their hand. Please open the introduction, page number 1. We're going to chant the invocation prayers together. Is that okay, chanting together, or do you want to repeat?
Call and response.
Okay, call and response. Let's do that. Introduction, page number 1. The only prayer that we'll chant in between, towards the end, would be Prabhupada's Pranati, which will come before Sri Krishna Chaitanya, okay? And we'll chant the translation for the first verse. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone. They are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Let's put our hands up in the air and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra together 3 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripātamaham vande Shri Gurun Dīnatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Katanjana Smritesmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhaved Visprate Viparitam Syat Shri Chaitanya Namamitam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 7, text 19. Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Samahatma Sudurlabha Bahunam Janmanam Ante Bahunam Janmanam Ante Bahunam Janmanam Ante Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Vasudeva Sarv, not Vaha, Vasudeva. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha Samahatma Sudurlabha. Okay, we're gonna chant this verse together once, and then maybe we'll have two volunteers from Mataji's and Prabhu's, and this time we will also give a chance to the kids. Okay, one or two kids can chant. Okay, so let's chant together. 1, 2, and 3. Bahunam janmanamante Jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti Samahatma sudurlabha. Yes, Prabhu.
Bahunam janmanamante
Bahunam janmanamante
Jnanavan mam prapadyate
Jnanavan mam prapadyate
Vasudeva sarvamiti
Vasudeva sarvamiti
Mahatma sudurlabha
Samahatma sudurlabha.
Bahunam janmanamante
Bahunam janmanamante
Jnanavan mam prapadyate
Jnanavan mam prapadyate
Vasudeva sarvamiti
Vasudeva sarvamiti
Samahatma sudurlabha
Samahatma sudurlabha.
Bahunam
janmanamante
Bahunam janmanamante
Jnanavan mam prapadyate
Jnanavan mam prapadyate
Vasudevam sarvamiti
Vasudeva sarvamiti
Samahatma sudurlabha
Samahatma sudurlabha.
Bahunam janmanamante
Bahunam janmanamante
Jnanavan mam prapadyate
Jnanavan mam prapadyate
Vasudeva sarvamiti
Vasudeva sarvamiti
Mahatma sudurlabha
Samahatma sudurlabha. Okay, I only see Akshara. And what's your name? The little kid next to Pitambar Prabhu. What's your name?
Ayan.
Ayansh, do you want to try?
I think it's first time.
Yeah, but he can try. If he wants to.
To read this English, say Bahunam
Bahunam
loudly. Janmanam ante
Bahunam janmanamante Jnanavan prapadyate Jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti
Mahatma durlabha.
Samahatma sudurlabha.
Very good. Give him a round of
Reward.
applause.
Akshara, do you want to try? No. Okay, she says no. Fine. So Krishna consciousness is very easy. He just tried, right? Ayansh? Sorry, I forgot your name already. Ayansh tried. And if he tries maybe 2-3 times, he'll be able to chant the verse just like all of us.
And it's for,
Okay.
it's for the first time.
First time, yes. Absolutely wonderful.
Very,
Okay.
very appreciate.
Oh, I didn't see you, Yajat. Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Bahunam janmanamante Jnanavan mam prapadyate Vasudeva sarvamiti Samahatma sudurlabha.
Prabhu, would you like to?
Anyone wants to try? I mean, there's no limit. I just said to Mataji's, to Prabhus, anybody can try. We're all here to learn. Okay, if no one wants to go, we're going to read the translation. I'll read the translation once and then we will do a repetition. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Translation, please repeat. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Anybody wants to read the translation one more time?
many births and deaths,
after many births and deaths,
he who is actually in knowledge,
he who is actually in knowledge,
surrenders unto me,
surrenders unto me,
knowing me to be
knowing me to be
the cause of all causes,
cause of all causes,
and that is.
and all that is.
Such is great soul is very rare.
Such a great soul is very rare. So we'll have the purport being read by His Grace President Vasudeva Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. That's it. I just lost it. Finger touch.
Yeah, you can.
The living entity, while executing devotional service or transcendental rituals after many, many births, may actually become situated in transcendental pure knowledge that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of spiritual realization. In the beginning of spiritual realization, while one is trying to give up one's attachment to materialism, there is some leaning towards impersonalism. But when one is further advanced, he can understand that there are activities in the spiritual life and that these activities constitute devotional service. Realizing this, he becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders to Him. At such a time, one can understand that Lord Sri Krishna's mercy is everything, that He is the cause of all causes, and that this material manifestation is not independent from Him. He realizes the material world to be a perverted reflection of spiritual variegatedness and realizes that in everything there is a relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Thus, he thinks of everything in relation to Vasudeva or Sri Krishna. Such a universal vision of Vasudeva precipitates one's full surrender to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna as the highest goal. Such surrendered great souls are very rare. This verse is very nicely explained in the 3rd chapter, verses 14 and 15 of the Svetasvatara Upanishad. Sahasra Shisha Purushaha. No, you don't have to repeat, that's fine. Sahasra Shisha Purushaha Sahasrakshaha Sahasrapat Sabhumi Vishvato Vrutva Tyatistad Dasangulam Purusha Evadam Sarvam Yadbhutam Yacha Bhavyam Utamritatvashayeshano Yad Anena Tirohati. Lord Vishnu has thousands of heads, thousands of eyes, and thousands of feet. Entirely encompassing the whole universe, He still expands beyond it by 10 fingers breadth. He is in fact this entire universe. He is all that was and all that will be. He is the Lord of immortality and of all that is nourished by food. In the Chandogya Upanishad 5.1.15, it is said, Navai vachona chakshumshi nashrotranina manam shiti achakshate prana iti eva chakshate prano hi evaitani sarvani bhavanti. In the body of a living being, neither the power to speak, nor the power to see, nor the power to hear, nor the power to think is the prime factor. It is life which is the center of all activities. Similarly, Lord Vasudeva, or the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is the prime entity in everything. In this body, there are powers of speaking, of seeing, of hearing, of mental activities, etc. But these are not important if not related to the Supreme Lord. And because Vasudeva is all-pervading and everything is Vasudeva, the devotee surrenders in full knowledge. Bhagavad Gita 7.17 and 11.40. Hare Krishna.
Thus in the Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, so the 7th chapter, 19th text of the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So, in the past few weeks, we've been discussing about the 4 kinds of people who surrender unto Krishna and 4 kinds of people who don't surrender unto Krishna. Does anyone remember what they're called? Sorry.
The one who don't surrender,
No.
namami,
Yeah, the group of people who don't surrender and the group of people who surrender.
namami duskritino moodha.
Dushkritina. They are called Dushkritinas, right? The 4 kinds. Prabhu says Muda, Prapadyante Naradhama, Asuram Bhavamashuta, and Mayaya Apahrita Jnana. Okay, 4 kinds of people who don't surrender unto Krishna. They are called Dushkritinas. Okay. And there are 4 kinds of people who surrender unto Krishna. They are called Sukritinas, right? So the 4 kinds of people who don't surrender unto Krishna are called non-devotees who don't surrender, and those who surrender, they are called devotees, those who devote themselves to the Lord. Now, so the 4 kinds of people who surrender unto Krishna, they are also categorized into many categories. But broadly speaking, since they are devotees of the Lord, there are some set of devotees who have desire and they serve Krishna for a particular purpose. And there are some who are without any desires, right? So in Sanskrit, they are called Sakam and Akam devotees, right? Sakam means with desire. They're motivated for some reason. And because of that reason, they surrender unto Krishna, they approach Krishna, and they worship Krishna, right? And that's what we discussed in the earlier text, where it says, Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna arto jignasu artharthi jnani cha bharatarshava, right? In English, anyone knows who the 4 categories are? Distress. Okay, maybe we can take 4 volunteers. One is distress category. Inquisitive. Jnani. Jnani, seeker of knowledge. Yes, and art. Distress is done, depressed. Inquisitive is done. Artharthi, one who is seeker of wealth, right? And I'm sure whoever has taken the class, unfortunately I've been unable to hear any of the classes, so they would have given you examples, right? Who's the example for the distress category that you heard? Dhruva Maharaj, okay. And for the category of inquisitive, Jignasu, the sages who assembled in Naimisharanya, or any sages in general, but here, the sages who sat to hear the Bhagavatam, right? The Shaunakadi Rishi. Artharthi? Wait. Artharthi is Dhruva. Artha is distress, Gajendra, right? Sorry, I'm mixed up too, right? I'm really sorry, forgive me. This is the age of Kali affecting our intelligence. Mandaha Sumandamataya. Dhruva Maharaj was an example for the seeker of wealth. Gajendra, for the distressed, he called out to the Lord for, seeking help. He actually offered prayers, and thus the Lord came to help. Then we have the sages and Jnani. Any examples of Jnani? No.
Parikshit Maharaj want to know the absolute truth about the Lord, no?
Yeah.
So, or anyone else?
Arjuna.
Yeah, I mean, they can't be really categorized in Jnani. Paripurna Prabhu is very quiet. Prabhu, give us an example.
The 4 Kumaras also.
They were impersonals. I was actually thinking of the Kumaras, right? They were seekers, they were seeking, they were, very inquisitive. They fall into inquisitive category, right, Jnani? The seekers of knowledge, you can put them there as well. So, coming to what I was trying to get at is, they had a purpose for approaching the Lord, right? So, they're called Sakama devotees, right? And the Bhagavatam says, Akama sarva kamo va moksha kamo dharadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Yeah, everybody knows this verse. It's a very important verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? If you have any desire, or you are without any desire, you have desire for liberation, whatever be it, approach the Supreme Absolute Truth and perform Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. What is Tivra Bhakti?
Extreme.
Intense Bhakti, right? That word is very strong, right? And what does intense mean?
Constantly,
constant,
seriously,
seriously, focused. Yeah, Prabhu's going to another verse. Ahetukya pratihata. Unflinching, right? Intense, like you have intensity of heat in the when we cook, right? Maximum heat in our cooking range. That is the kind of intensity we need to have. When it's
like an intensify.
intensified, maximized.
If you are hearing, don't leave it from here.
Yeah, just keep it in, absorb it, right? Yes, unalloyed, unmotivated, uninterrupted, all this, right? We're using all these words so that at least 1% of these words get into our system and we try to perform at least to some degree, intensify our process of surrender to Krishna, right? So, these devotees, akama sarva kama, there are a set of devotees who are without any desire, right? And today we are going to be discussing about these set of devotees who are without any desires, and from that set come the Mahatma, right? So this verse, who is a Mahatma? That's what Krishna is describing to Arjuna in this verse, right? He says, Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Bahunam, after many births, Ante, at the end of such many births, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, Gyanavan Mam Prapadyate. A wise, intelligent person surrenders unto me, right? What does he say? An intelligent person, a wise person, right? A jnani, one who's in knowledge, right? Knowledge about who the Lord is, right? He says in the next line, Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudalva. He understands that Vasudeva, Krishna, is the all in all. There's nothing without him, everything is in him, and he is in everything, right? So such a person is very, very rare. This verse is so simple, right? Right? And we actually don't need to speak if we understand the fact that just that third line, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. But Krishna goes on to say, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. He says such people are very, very rare. He said in the beginning of the 7th chapter as well, what is that verse? Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatadam api siddhanam kaschin mam eti tattvataha. Right? After many words, hardly one person comes to know Krishna, right? Again, there he says, someone who comes in full knowledge of him is very rare, right? And here again he says, Sudurlabha, very rare. And he's emphasizing here, very rare, Durlabha, rare, right? So we will try to understand what Krishna is saying through the purpose of Prabhupada. Prabhupada, in the first paragraph or first few lines, he talks about jivas who are executing devotional service, and after many births, they come to spiritual realization, self-realization. So, talking about many births, we talk about one of the things that Krishna is revealing to Arjuna through the Gita. What are the 5 subject matters that is being discussed in the Gita?
Karma,
Ishvara, Karma, Prakriti, Kala.
and karma.
Okay. Ishvara, Prakriti, Kala, Karma, Jiva.
Jiva.
Right. So, because of our karmas, because of whatever we do in this lifetime and our previous lifetime, we keep taking many births, right? There's no end to the cycle. There is an end to the cycle, but there is no end until we attempt to take up to the process of devotion, right? Right? We need to cut that noose, right? Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, right? We need to cut the noose of material existence, and that is possible by surrender unto Krishna, right? So this process of repeated births, being born from one type of living entity to another, and jumping from body to body, this is called the signs of reincarnation that everyone's talking about, right? That the source of that knowledge comes from the Gita, and that's being spoken by the Lord in chapter. Anyone knows? We are in the 7th chapter of the Gita.
Chapter 2nd, no?
Yeah, 2nd chapter we talk about the soul, and therein, I'm really sorry if I'm putting everybody into any state of difficulty, but I'd like you all to be receptive and answer. We're trying to learn together. I'm not here speaking because I know something. No, I'm also learning with all of you. And so do the others who come here to present this knowledge. We're all trying to learn together. I remember once Paripurna Prabhu said, we are all holding each other's hands and crossing, trying to cross this material ocean, right? And that's what we need to do in the circle. This is a study circle, right? And so we need to engage, we need to talk. That's how you learn. I was told by my parents that unless you are receptive, unless you share what you know, you're not going to increase what you know. Whatever is there in your system needs to come out, and then you'll be able to receive more. And I'm sure that's what the Acharyas did, right? They received in the lineage, they shared this knowledge, and as they shared, they got more. What did they get more of? They got more of the love for Krishna, right? Because once you share the knowledge for Krishna, you get love from Krishna. Because Krishna says in the Gita that one who shares my knowledge is very, very dear to me, right? Right? He loves everybody, but those people who try to share the knowledge of Krishna, they become dearer to him, right? So let's do this together. I'm not the only one who's going to become dear to Krishna by doing
That is
this.
the beauty of the knowledge.
Yes, that's
If
beauty
you
of
have money,
knowledge.
then we will end up empty.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Krishna says here, what does he say? Prabhupada is saying that we're taking many, many births, and after the end of many births, in the beginning of spiritual realization, while one is trying to give up one's attachment to materialism, there is some leaning towards impersonalism. But when one is further advanced, he can understand that there are activities in the spiritual life, and these activities constitute devotional service. Realizing this, he becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders unto him. Right? So, who's a Mahatma? The one who understands that Krishna is everything and surrenders unto him. Krishna says in another verse, he says, Mahatmanastu mam parta Devim Prakritim Ashuta Bhajanti Ananya Manaso. Who's a Mahatma? He's describing that verse again. He says, he is a person who's surrendered to the divine energy of mind, right? In that verse where Krishna spoke about the four kinds of people who don't surrender unto him, what does he say? Namam Dushtritano Muda Prapadyante Naranma. Maya Asuram Bhavam Ashrataha. They are not surrendered unto the divine energy of mind. They are surrendered unto the material energy of Krishna, right? But those people who are Mahatmas, they are surrendered unto the divine energy of Krishna, and thus they're performing devotional service, Ananya Bhakti. Haitukya Pratihata, Sudarshan Prabhu just said, right? They're doing bhakti which is unmotivated and uninterrupted, right? Srila Rupa Goswami, one of the acharyas in our parampara, he also says, what is that verse? Anya Vilashita Shunya Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam Bhakti Ruttama. Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam, favorable devotional service. And that devotional service that is devoid of any tinge of material attachment, any tinge of material desire, any tinge of monastic philosophy, it is devoid of all these things. It's only focused on one thing. What is it focused on?
Devotional service.
Yes, devotional service. Serving the master of our senses, right? Pleasing Krishna. Doing everything that can get us closer to Krishna, to love Krishna, right? That is what devotional service is all about. Devotional service is all about pleasing Krishna. I might be going from tangent to tangent, but we're trying to understand here who are Mahatmas, right? So, can someone tell me who the Mahatmas are? In maybe a line?
Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada, yeah, that's an example. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada is an example. The Acharyas are an example. The Mahatmas, they don't care for themselves. They only care about Krishna, right? They only care for the love of Krishna. There are so many Mahatmas. Srila Haridas Thakur, the Goswamis, everyone in the Guru Parampara, they're actually Mahatmas. So, since you were talking about Mahatmas, an example Prabhupada gave, Radha Govinda Hari Prabhu gave the example of Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada often quotes about other Mahatmas, right? And one of the examples that Srila Prabhupada has quoted is about the 6 Goswamis. Right? 6 Goswamis, they had everything. They had wealth, they had aristocracy, they had good birth, they had good knowledge, right? They were very beautiful, handsome devotees, right? They gave up all of these things. Why did they give up all of this? To serve Krishna, to please Krishna. Because having all these things wouldn't get them closer to Krishna. So they renounced, they actually, what is that? Tuchavat. Tyaktva turnamashesha mandala, yeah, mandalapati. They were mandalapatis. Tyaktva turnamashesha, what's the starting? Tuchavat bhutva dina ganesha karunaya kaupina kantashrata. They accepted kaupina and kantimala and they used to reside under trees, right?
That also
People who lived aristocratic life, yeah, people who lived aristocratic life, they lived under a tree and changed from one tree to another every single night. Do you think any of us can do this? Obviously, we are not yet there, but do we want to do this? At this point, while you're sitting here, can you even think about it? No, right? That's the difference. That is why it is difficult for Bhaddajiv or Kali Bhadjiv, they say, people who are tied up in this material world, in this Kali Yuga, to become Mahatmas. But yet, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says it is so easy. Right? He says it is so easy. And Srila Prabhupada also says it's very easy. So, what is the contradiction? Where is the contradiction? Our desire?
Intensity.
Intensity?
Willingness to serve.
Willingness to serve, willingness to surrender, willingness to have a little bit of faith on the Lord that He is my protector, that He is the one who's giving me everything. It is not I who's doing anything. It is not I who's able to connect with somebody. It is the Paramatma within me that is helping me connect with another Paramatma. What are we so proud of in this world? The knowledge that we have, the people that we know, the wealth that we have, the language that we speak, the clothes that we wear. What are we proud of? Is any of these earned by us really?
Not at all.
No, really not, right?
come to that understanding is very difficult. So everything my, you know.
It is difficult, right? But yet it is easy. Srila Prabhupada says, dovetail everything that you have in Krishna's service, right? Dovetailing is not a process of renunciation, rather it is a process of utilizing whatsoever you have in Krishna's service. Be it the wealth you have, be it the talent you have, be it the relationships you have, be it the house you have, right? Be it the occupation that you have. Utilize every single thing in Krishna's service, right? It is very easy. Yet, we don't do it. Because we have something called ego. Who is this person to tell me to do this? Who is this person writing this book to tell us to do this? We have free will. We can do whatever we want. Right? Yes, Krishna's given us free will. And it is exactly that free will that is differentiating us from a Mahatma. Because a person can become Mahatma very easily, instantly he can surrender unto Krishna. Prabhupada says, I'm sure all of you must have seen that reel, right? You can surrender unto Krishna within a second, Srila Prabhupada says. A minute, he says, right? There's an example of, I think, Khatwanga Maharaj. He was a descendant of the Raghu dynasty, the Vamsha that Sri Ramachandra came into, right? So Khatwanga Maharaj is very famous. He used to fight in battles for the demigods, right? And the demigods were so pleased with him that they said, okay, please ask us whatever you want and we'll grant you that benediction, right? So the demigods asked him, and Khatwanga Maharaj said, okay, can you please tell me how much more time I have to live in this body? And the demigods told him that you just have a moment. And Khatwanga Maharaj, guess what he did? Any guesses?
Harina.
Practice meditation.
Surrender.
Yeah, he surrendered. Yeah, he surrendered to the Lord. Immediately, spontaneously, instantly, right? That is the difference between a Mahatma and those who choose not to surrender unto Krishna because they are holding on to something else. What are they holding on to?
Ego.
Yeah. Ego, yes, we are holding on to things because of the ego, but we are holding on to the material attachments, right? The so-called things, the things that we believe to be ours, which aren't really ours, right?
Bodily
It's actually very funny when we think about it, right? Oh, it's my kartal, it's my phone, it's my spectacle, it is my. But when are we going to learn to connect it to Krishna? When are we going to connect everything that we have in the service of Krishna? Right? When are we going to realize that these things are not mine? Well, this is for you to think. No, for us to think, not just you. For us to think, because, every moment our mind is playing as a friend and enemy, and then, when it is a friend, it is helping us to go towards Krishna, and when it isn't, it is driving us away from Krishna, right? So we have about 40 seats here, right? And some days all the 40 seats are full at this time, and sometimes just after Aarti, right? But the fact that most of the seats are full means that all of you are inquisitive, all of you want to know, all of you want to learn and grow, right? That's what is going to help you surrender and become a Mahatma, right? Because you are taking your step of having faith in Krishna and the words of the Acharyas. That is important. So with faith begins everything. And when you hold on to the faith, Krishna sees it and he will send forth, he will make arrangements for you to progress. It is not us progressing, it is Krishna helping us progress. Who's helping us progress?
Krishna.
And how is he helping us progress? Through the medium of Acharyas, through the medium of surrendered devotees of Krishna, right? They're going to help, like Paripurna Prabhu said. We're going to hold each other's hand and learn and grow together. This Stouffville congregation is going to grow how? Grow in bhakti and spread the holy names by holding on to each other's hand and helping one another learn and grow. This is a process of learning, and learning means you learn, share, and grow. How many of you are sharing what you learn here? I think I always ask question and I don't get an answer.
We are trying our best to share the knowledge.
Oh my God, I have only 10-15 minutes left and I haven't even covered the rest of the purport. So please answer this question. A show of hands, please, if anyone here is sharing at least 1 or 2 points. Okay. Monica Maji put her hands out like Mahaprabhu. Yes, thank you, Prabhus and Matajis. Yes, that's all it requires. So share 1 or 2 sentences that we learn. Wherever we learn from the purport of Prabhupada, just share it with the soul, and when you do it, you feel a sense of happiness. And that sense of happiness it comes because bhakti is a natural state of the living being. So I might be digressing, but I just want to put this point across. Like, we Jivas, Urmila Maji in one of her lectures, in one of the lectures, she gives lectures about, parenting and educating children in Krishna consciousness. And in one of those, she said that we do not have the tendency to obey anybody. We don't. Because we are anshas of Krishna and we have Krishna's nature, right? But we have the tendency to love, to care. And when we love someone, when we care for someone, then we listen to that person, right? Then we obey that person. That's not obeying really, but you're listening because you love that person, right? Right? So amongst devotees, that's what's required. Love and affection, right? It's difficult to practice. All of us are busy in our own lives. Right? We do not have time to love our family members, immediate family members, time, right? What to speak of giving love to another soul, right? But when we really do that, right, you will see a difference in your life. You'll see a difference in everything that we do, not just your life, but even in the lives of people around, right? So Mataji, what I was trying to get at is, we do not, as jivas, as humans, we do not have the tendency to obey anybody. Even animals, as jivas, that's what Maji said, even animals won't obey anybody, right? But we have the tendency to love and care. And that is what will help us create that inner circle and the outer circle of influence, right? You create your inner circle of influence, right? You've heard it's circle of influence, people who listen to you, right? Right? They don't listen to you because of your wealth or knowledge or whatsoever. They listen to you because they love you, right? So that love and care is important. Well, it's beyond this text, but yes. Let's go back to what Prabhupada is saying here. He says that, he says that a person becomes a Mahatma when he understands that Krishna is the cause of all causes, right? And all that is. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna is telling to Brahma, and obviously various, but this text is very important because it's one of the Chaturshloki, and Brahma is saying there, Krishna is saying to Brahma there that aham evasam evagre, nanyat yatsad asat param, paschadaham yate tacha, yova shishyeta sosmyaham. Krishna, he's telling to Brahma that Brahma, it is I who was there before the creation, and I'm the one that will be there even after the annihilation is over. It is because of my presence that everything is existing, right? So Krishna says that to Brahma. Who's Brahma? Why am I bringing Brahma here? What is the relationship of Brahma? Why am I bringing Brahma in this conversation of, one who understands Krishna is the source of everything? Such a person is Mahatma. That's what we're discussing about. Why I brought about Brahma is because everyone knows Brahma to be the secondary creator. We know because we're studying Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, but to the general populace, who is Brahma?
They think, yeah, he's the creator.
Yeah, they think he's the creator, he's the father of creation, right? And we will listen to our father, right? So that father of ours is being told by Sri Krishna that he is the source of everything, right? And the same Krishna in the Gita is telling us that I'm the source of everything, right? Everything rests upon me, right? Everything emanates from me. I'm the seed-giving father, right? In various texts he says, right, that I am the source and cause of everything, right? So when Krishna is saying so many times, why is it so difficult for us to understand, right? Okay, that's a question again for all of us to think and sleep over. So in this whole context, there's also, like Prabhupada also talks about the Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Right? What is Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva? Bheda Abheda. Signs of oneness and simultaneous oneness and difference. Yes, simultaneous oneness and difference. Right? What is that? How many of you know this word already, and how many of you don't? Okay. There are some people who don't. Okay. Good. So the fact that Krishna is within everything, yet he is not within it, is what is called simultaneous oneness and difference, right? So Krishna is present in his creation as Paramatma. He's present in every single thing that he's created, yet he's present back home, back in Godhead, in his original abode as Shyamasundara, as Govinda, and in Vaikuntha as Narayana, right? He's present there. At the same time, he's present in each and every atom that he's created. This is the concept of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. He's there, yet he's not there, right? People often talk about how does Krishna eat when we offer bhoga? How does he eat? He's eating through his eyes, and it is so difficult for people to understand that Krishna is eating through his eyes.
For the common people to understand.
Yes. Now, when we say people, we're not talking about devotees, because devotees know, right, for a fact that Krishna...
That's called omnipotent.
Omnipotence, yes. Yeah, omnipotent is because he can use all his senses. Any of his senses can do anything, right? Yes, that's true. Why did I bring that up? Yeah, so people talk about this because they're unable to believe that Krishna is sitting in Goloka and yet he's here eating the food that we are offering, right? Krishna is present in his Archa Vigraha, so much so that he's present in this Gita that we have, and so much so that he's present in the form of, the Vigraha, Archa Vigraha, and the photo, and the Kirtan, and the holy name. He's present in each and every one of these things because Krishna, his form, his name, his pastimes, his glories, they are non-different. Yeah, they're non-different, right? Therefore, Krishna is present, and yet he is not present because to this material senses, that, like, for instance, to read the Gita, I need to use, because the font is small, I have to use glasses, right? So our senses we have blunt material senses, right? Imperfect senses, with these senses we cannot understand anything, right? With these senses we cannot understand anything. So what to speak of understanding the words of the literature? So going back to the purport, Prabhupada says here, towards the end of the purport, that sorry, I just lost track.
Said imperfect sense.
You have finished with Mahatma. Who is Mahatma after
Yeah, I'm not really done with Mahatma. There's so much more to Mahatma. So I was listening to one of the lectures of His Holiness Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj, and Maharaj talks about Mahatma. He says that the difference between a Mahatma and a person who is not surrendered unto Krishna is that when you're a Mahatma, because Krishna's Sad Aishwarya Purna, because Krishna has the 6 opulences all incomplete at once, right? Because you're surrendered unto him, all the beautiful qualities that the demigods have and the demigods themselves reside in you. That is, if you are a Mahatma, right? And he says, what to speak of people who are not surrendered unto Krishna, right? Even though they may be the most aristocratic, even they may possess the best of bodies, the best of things that they have no value at all. Because Maharaj, he quotes facts as facts, right? And Maharaj said that, he said a devotee may look unimportant, may not be as good looking as someone else, but yet that person is bestowed with these qualities of the demigods, and he has the demigods residing. So who's really of value, right? The Mahatma, the devotee, or the person who has all the material opulences, right? That was a question Maharaj posed. So there's a shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam that says that if one surrenders unto Krishna and worships Krishna, associates with Krishna, he actually gains these qualities. Yeah, so as a kid, you must have heard this quote, right? Birds of a feather flock together, right? And when you flock together in a gang of people, you also attain their qualities. Unknowingly, you attain their qualities, right? For instance, in my material life, right? I used to be a little soft-spoken, but now I'm so loud because my husband speaks loudly, and so I speak loudly now, right? So this is a fact. It's a fact. I'm not joking, right?
association makes difference?
Yeah, association makes a difference. I am telling you from my own life, right? So if you associate with people of good qualities, if you associate with devotees of the Lord, unknowingly, you do not have anything. You do not have to do anything. Unknowingly, the good qualities will get attached to you, will creep into you. You will not even know. You really will not know. And after a few years, you'll think, oh, I have really changed. Or someone will notice you and they say, you're a changed person, Monica Mataji. How? What did you do? And Monica Mataji will be like, oh, I didn't really do anything.
Can I share something?
No. If you want to bring up any names here, no, but you can share.
What I'm going to say is I have changed a little bit with your association because you have so much energy. Sometimes I'm like, where does she get this energy from? So I try to invite that from.
No, it actually comes from Krishna and Guru Maharaj. No, to answer you, the energy comes to me from my Guru Maharaj and from Srila Prabhupada. Constantly hearing them is what gives me energy, and that's the energy that permeates to everybody, not just me, every devotee here. Krishna Priya Maji is filled with energy. Where is she getting that energy from? Pitambar Prabhu is filled with energy. Where is he getting? Radha Govinda Hari Prabhu can go on for hours together. Where is he getting that energy from? Like I have to pull out all the names, but just 3 is enough for now, right? How do these people get energy? Believe it or not, we get the energy from the Guru Parampara and the words of the Acharyas. This is not a joke. It's a fact.
Akhanda Sankirtan, like Radha Govind from Victor, if you ask
Can
him,
go on, right?
talk
Right,
about
yes.
philosophy.
So I know I haven't really covered because we're still stuck to the point of Mahatma, but it's very important for us to understand who a Mahatma is and how can we become Mahatmas, right? How can we become Mahatmas?
By associating with devotees.
By associating with devotee. It is so simple. And the main thing to do is have faith. Do not allow your faith to dwindle. Do not allow your faith to sway. Right? Today you're here for satsang. Means be here every Sunday for satsang. Unless you have an emergency or you're sick or there's something that you really can't avoid. Right? And associating with Krishna just doesn't mean coming on Sunday and having darshan of the Lord, doing some kirtan together. No. Association of Krishna and devotees means you do it daily. Right? It doesn't have to be physical association with people. You can do association of devotees through reading of purports of Srila Prabhupada. Right? And we have association every day, morning, evening, reading of and chanting together. You can definitely associate that way too. Right? And on your own. Right? You and Prabhupada. Is there any better time you can have with Prabhupada than reading his purports? No, right? So my humble request is, I hope you've all understood who a Mahatma is.
Yes.
Very
Sudarshan Prabhu is trying like, yes, because no one's saying yes. Anyone who doesn't understand who a Mahatma is, please put your hand up.
Anyone who is not one,
Who does not understand who a Mahatma is? किसी को अगर मालूम नहीं पड़ा कि महात्मा कौन है, प्लीज हाथ ऊपर उठाइए. Everyone understood? Was it a very serious class?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, I wanted to share the story of Haridas Thakur, but I'm going to skip it because that's very, very serious. Right? Just to tell you one last point, a Mahatma does not care what trials and tribulations he goes through. He forever remains in the constant service of the Lord. Right? Whether he's sick, whether he is jobless, whether he is, sorry, I just brought these two examples up, but whatever state of being he is in, right? Stress, he's full of stress, or whether he's, carefree, no troubles at all, whatever be the situation, a Mahatma is constantly associating with Krishna. And the example that I was going to tell you was a story of Srila Haridas Thakur, because everyone in this Sangha knows about Haridas Thakur, right? Yeah. So Haridas Thakur is one of the associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. With this I will end. And he was actually tortured because of his birth and because of his practices of sadhana. Right? He was born in a Mohammedan family and he took up to the practice of Sanatan Dharma, chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And he would not just chant 16 rounds of the holy name. Right? He would chant 300,000 names of the Lord. How many thousand names? 300,000 names of the Lord. Yeah?
192.
Yeah. And it about took, from what I know, 20-21 hours or so, right? And the remaining hours also he would use in Krishna service.
till then he will not eat or drink.
Yeah, he wouldn't eat or drink till he finishes his chanting. All of us, at least me, I do it in portions. I do majority and then, the rest here and
He
there.
used to sit in the toilet and chant,
He would chant everywhere, but his main rounds he would do in one place. He would chant anywhere, right? Because he was so elevated, he would be constantly chanting the holy name, right? So, because of this, the rulers of that land, they didn't like, and people were so jealous of him that they tried to punish him, they tried to whip him up, right? Haridas Thakur, because of the potency of his bhakti, and his love for Mahaprabhu and the holy name, he told them that, I'm never going to stop, because that is what they said. If you stop chanting, we will stop hitting you. But he did not give up. He was beaten up in 22 marketplaces, and yet the people who were beating him were shocked. How is this person still alive? He was whipped up in 22 marketplaces and then thrown into the water, and then he came back alive. And I just cut the story short. But believe it or not, the beatings that he got, he did not feel at all, because all this was being borne by Lord Chaitanya, Shri Krishna himself, right? And we also discussed in one of the lectures earlier about how Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Paryupasite Tesham Nityavayuktanam Yogakshema Mahamyam. Krishna is telling that I protect what you have and provide what you lack. So Krishna here protected Haridas Thakur, right? So a Mahatma, despite whatever he goes through, does not give up his devotional service. And in order for us to become a Mahatma or even become a devotee of Krishna, we must endeavor never to give up the little bit of bhakti that we do. We're not doing much. Right? Or at least I'm not doing much. I don't know about all of you. But whatever bhakti we are doing, we should not never ever give it up, because this bhakti, there is no loss or diminution, right?
Yeah, there's a sloka.
Yeah, loss or diminution. For a minute I was like, did I say something? Yeah. Neha vikramanashvasti patyavayo na vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. It helps you cross over the biggest of dangers in your life. And what helps you? The process of bhakti, the love for Krishna, right? So our humble request is that please don't ever give up this small amount of bhakti that you're practicing or trying to practice. That will help you progress and come to the stage of Mahatma someday, if not in this birth. The verse says, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, right?
After many births.
No, the Jnanis, right? Prabhu discussed in the last verse, because they become, they're big-hearted, they know about Krishna, and then they come to the stage after many births. But a devotee like Khatwanga Maharaj instantly surrender, and they don't give that opportunity up, right? So please take up to the process of devotional service a little bit more seriously. It is a very easy process, but all it requires is our faith that is undindling and not shaking, unwavering faith, right? And hold on to the feet of Srila Prabhupada and his followers so that it'll help us grow in the process of bhakti. I'm really sorry I haven't managed to cover what I wanted to speak, but I hope you were able to get home some points. Let's just encapsulate the whole verse together. There are 4 kinds of people who don't surrender to Krishna, 4 kinds of people who surrender to Krishna. Out of the 4 kinds, you have people who are full of desire and people who have no desire. And from the set of people who have no desire come the Mahatmas, right? Mahatmas are who? They are devotees of the Lord who understand that Krishna is the source of everything. Vasudeva is the source of everything. He's the all in all. And they, despite whatever comes their way, they never let go of their service to Krishna, right? Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Nitai Gopmande Hari Hari.